Go ahead.
What's good with everybody? Welcome to QueShowPodcast. Today we're going to be talking about how it was growing up in the 90s versus the 2000s.
Yeah, that's what we're going to be talking about. We're going to just be jumping right in to, like Chris said, we're going to be talking about the growing up in the 90s versus 2000s, and then versus the fad that's going on right now with everybody embracing the, the cholo culture, the raza culture, and pretty much anything and everything.
That, let's everybody know.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with embracing it, but in the same time, you got to know what it represented for us older heads that grew up in that era. So,
I mean, from the Pachuco, the Zoo Suiters, Pachuco era to, the Cholos, all of that. I mean, like James said, like Hani said, it doesn't, I mean, for me, it doesn't offend me. I'm cool. Like this new generation embracing our culture, embracing their culture, the Cholo culture, the raza culture. It's all good. There's nothing wrong with it, and it's a fad right now. And it's our time as a people to now shine. And so I see that as, for me, I see that like, how can I put this, man? I mean,
it went from being an Edgar to a now Cholo.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know about that. Yeah, see, look, when we talk about like that Edgar thing, I mean, all due respect with all the Edgars out there, whatever,
That's different.
you guys, that's different. But that's not all our culture, that's not the Cholo. That wasn't the Cholo.
I mean, we
culture.
did kind of have the bowl cut.
We did have the bowl cut, but that was like in the 70s, 80s. I won't say that was like in the 80s, and that wasn't the Cholo mentality. You know what I mean? The hair, the long, not even, exactly. Or do you remember the that little cola on the back?
The rat tail. The rat tail.
Yeah, the rat tail, the cola on the back.
There was always some sort of style. And we went through it too. We went through the different styles. Because I remember even wearing those Jinko jeans. I don't know if you rocked them, but I did.
Yeah.
The Jinko jeans that would cover my whole entire shoe. And, shredded at the bottom.
Yeah.
And then jumped over to the whole Cholo, theme. But
well,
let's hear from for you.
Yeah. Well, for me, it was the Dickies, the crease Dickies, and then the military press shirts. Hell, shit, I used to press my boxers, bro. I used to iron my fucking boxers. I used to put some extra starch on that shit, iron it up, real crease it, and yeah, man, I used to do all of that shit. And so it was the Dickies, the Van Davis. And that was my style. That was the Cholo culture at the time. And then of course, as the years went by, then we went from that to a little more baggier to the point where I recall rocking the ISs. What was the other one? It was
the Interstate. The IS was Interstate.
Yeah, Interstate, the ISs, and
we had our Ben Davis and
hell yeah, the Ben Davis, the 501 Levi's, nice and creased up.
So
and everything.
when we tell you Ben Davis
the Cortezes
and 501s, we mean you couldn't step out of the house without them being creased. You couldn't. Yeah. They had to be creased up. Yeah. And
even our shorts, man,
John,
even the long
my brother,
shorts.
he's the one that taught me how to do the creases, and then I taught my younger brother, how to crease. And I'm going to give you guys this advice. When you're creasing, make sure if you're going to throw on some starch, use that bandana. If not, you're going to get that shine.
Oh, man. You get that shine. That's it. I mean,
throw them away.
Pants are ruined. Yeah. I was like, that's it. It's done.
You don't want to get that shine on your crease pants. You want to make sure you throw that starch on there and then throw the bandana, wipe it a little bit, throw the bandana on there, and then run the iron. Yeah. But
some nice
with that being said, back to how it was for you, and then I'll jump right in for me.
Well, man,
because you're older. I mean, you were born in the 60s.
Something like that. Hey, man, I wasn't born in the 60s, man. I was born in the early 80s, 81 to be exact.
I know, I was a few years after.
Yeah. So you're not that young either, bro. It was the era. I mean, the 90s. I hear a lot of this new generation talking about, I wish I grew up in the 90s. Understand like the shit that we went through. And look, not to put the shit to discredit anybody else that grew up in other eras and stuff.
Yeah.
But in the 90s, it was tough, man, growing up in the 90s because, well, late 80s, early 90s, because we had a lot of gang violence. So see, for us, it wasn't a fad. It wasn't just it wasn't a style for us. It was life. It was our culture. It was our life. And so, every time we would step out of the house, we did a little. I remember doing a little sign of the cross, a prayer, and saying, Lord, Virgencita, watch over us, because I don't know if I'm coming home. At the end of the day, I'm not sure if I'm coming home or not, because it was we lived in the barrio. We lived in the barrio.
Hardcore.
And there was gang banging. We gang bang. We had to in order for us to survive, you couldn't be by yourself. You had to click up with somebody. You had to click up with a set or and for protection. So we were fighting our way out and our way in every day. And so, don't get me wrong. Life wasn't like horrible either. Like but it was truly rough. It was rough in the 90s. It was we grew up in a war zone. Honestly, and we're not even talking about. I'm not even talking about LA. I'm talking about growing up here in San Diego, and there's going to be people who are like, San Diego, what are you talking about?
So
That's
nice
a nice.
here.
It's on.
So we'll say this though. There was that beef. There was that beef between San Diego and LA in the 90s. There was those riots that we had, and I remember that. I remember the riots between San Diego and LA. And you know what? At the end of the day, once you get older, you start to realize it's not even about that. It's about the raza looking out for one another, and shout outs to LA. They hold it down and they put in their work.
I got people,
Yeah.
And I won't throw shade at them, and I wouldn't hate on them, At the end of the day, it's about that raza, and looking out for one another and that respect, and I'll give them that respect.
I hung out with fools from LA.
We've had beef back in the day, but
well, not with everybody from LA. It was certain gangs, certain gangs.
Yeah.
But
and we won't even name which ones they are.
No,
we're not going to get into the topics as far as what we did. It's about what was going on in that era.
To be honest, I hung out with fools from LA. They hung out with me. They would come down. We cruise around, hang out. I go up there, cruise around, hang out with them.
Cruise Highland. Highland, shout out to Highland. After the Charger games.
On Sundays. Sunday afternoon, we used to cruise around. I remember, we used to have them hyenas that used to car hop. They, jump out of one car and jump into our car to cruise with us. And, we always, it was always something going on. But, once again, going back to I don't want to discredit Los Angeles because, they're hard, they got some hoods out there, some barrios out there, but
that's how do we. We're known for Chicano Park. We're known for Chicano Park. We got to represent that too.
And so here in San Diego in the 90s, man, even early 2000s. Out here it's tough, and and I know a lot of fools from LA that they say, hey, you know what? We don't discredit San Diego because San Diego, there's some cop killers out there, and it's true. Back then,
it was going on.
Yeah, back in 2000 when they shot that one officer right there on University Avenue in Fairmont. At the light. That's crazy. There's nothing to be proud of.
But it was happening. But the violence was more active.
It was very active. Those times. Yeah, it was drive-bys and all that shit. It was stabbings, man. Shit. I want to say maybe. I wouldn't say every day. I don't want to exaggerate.
But it was more than usual.
It was more than usual that we were either fist fighting, shooting at each other, or getting shot at. Out here. And so it was survival. But so it's not about what I'm saying. For us, it wasn't a fad. It wasn't the style. Oh, man, it was our culture. It was our lifestyle. It was the way we lived. And so and I appreciate, like I say, I love that this generation now is embraces it and stuff. But for this generation to say, hey, I wish I grew up in the 90s, man, that's a wish that you really don't want it to come true. Because remember, in the 90s, man, there was,
There was
burn
no
rate
social media either.
No, we didn't have it. We were out there. That's what I'm saying. Like you weren't banging on social media. Hell no.
Hell no.
Man, you were out in the street. You were out in the street doing your thing, putting in work. Trying to get put a name into it. What's all that? What's all that?
So what the?
Yeah.
All right. Where do we leave off at?
Yeah. So like I was saying, it's, for me, I love that this young generation is embracing, the culture, our culture, the brown pride culture, the Chicano culture, and but
And it was about time.
Yeah,
it's about time. Because I remember when we were younger, it was also like the reggaeton scene where people were embracing the whole reggaeton.
And it's all good,
they embraced that for a bit, So it's not a bad thing, and we don't, there's no shade, no hate.
Nah, by all means, there isn't, but there's limits as well. You just can't embrace the Chicano culture, and then go, oh, it's a fad, so I'm gonna put on the banderas, I'm gonna put on the tikis, and dress like a cholo, and start throwing up these gang signs, and pretend that you're like being a wannabe from some hood. Or claiming that you're from that hood, and you're not even from that hood. You're just a wannabe, and so that's not cool. If you're gonna embrace the culture, embrace it. Put on those banderas, the tikis, crease them up, dress it. But
make sure you do use the creases. If you can wear banderas or 501s, because I've seen these youngsters, they'll throw on the 501s, the Dickies, and the banderas.
And it looks like they just fucking rolled right out of bed and shit, man.
I remember we were up early in the morning, creasing our shit.
Or the
creasing
night before.
Or the night before, we would crease them up and put them on the hanger and hang it up.
Yeah, dude.
I remember we were suited and booted.
I would use so much starch, right?
Yeah,
and that shit my pants would stand on its own, brother. I just would,
the other day I was just telling my son Chris the same thing. Like, hey, when you starch these, they better stand up on themselves. That's how I want to see them. If you're gonna rock them, make sure you do it the right way.
And do the military press. It's the military press. So you got some fools who, when they crease it all the way to the top. Nah. It's not all the way to the top. It's that military press. So you don't go all the way to the top. You leave enough where your pocket's at, like right down, like right below the pocket. From there down, you crease them. And that shit looks good, man. That shit looks good.
Unless you're wearing the sizes bigger.
Oh yeah, unless you're wearing the bigger size.
Bigger size.
And then you go all the way to the top, because
they're the Ben Davis or the Dickies, and you're wearing
that size 40.
Too big, then you'll take them all the way up to the top.
Yeah,
because then you're gonna kind of you got to know how to fold your pants too when you put that belt on.
But you don't want to also be like super baggy, man. Just enough, maybe if you're gonna wear them just a little bit more bigger, just where you could fold them, you can fold them, and then you put your belt on with your initials on.
The long belt,
or your set, you're rocking your set.
The double ones.
Yep. We had those belt buckles that had the initials on them,
double belt buckles,
and we would wear our set on it. Those buckles would have an initial, and it would spell out, just
whatever set you're from.
The letters.
Yeah, whatever letters.
Unless you were whooped off a female, then you'll have her initials.
Yep.
But
man. I mean, it's like going back to like, it's cool. I respect that, and I'm flattered that they're embracing our culture. Look at Japan, man. In Japan, I mean, they really did their homework.
I wonder if I go over there, if I'd be treated like a queen.
A queen.
Queen.
I would be treated like a queen.
I don't know about no queen, brother, but that's you, doggy.
Hey, I had a few drinks, so forgive me for that. But I wonder if they would treat us like a king. If they would treat us like a king. And the reason why I threw that out there was because, I treat my wife like a queen.
No, exactly. You're supposed to. That's the way we were taught.
That was also the way we were taught.
Happy wife, happy life.
It was more respect of females. We respected females and children.
Yep.
It was, you don't hurt women or kids.
And that's just still the rule.
And all my kids can tell you that I've never put hands on them. And same thing with my wife, never put hands on her. And it was just because that's the way we were raised. You don't hurt women and kids, you protect them. Your wife is your queen. Your king. You know, your sons are your up and coming kings. You know, the prince.
Yeah.
You know, and you hear the I tell my daughter that's my princess.
Yep.
You know, so
yeah, it's like, I'm the same way with my daughter and my son.
You know, I remember back in the day when people were doing the drive-bys.
Yep.
And you know, that's when the new rule came out where it was no more drive-bys because somebody, you know, and I won't touch on that subject too much and get into the full details, but I remember somebody that was up there.
Yep.
Had a kid, one of their own kids that was, you know, shot or murdered in a drive-by.
Yep.
You know, and then after that, that's when it was a no-go.
It was a no-go because it was getting out of hand.
Yeah, you couldn't do that. You know, if you got locked up on a drive-by case, forget about it. Your life is over.
Yep.
You know, you get charged with, you know, violence towards a child or towards a woman. They handle you.
Yeah. If you're a pedo, they handle you in there too as well.
Yeah, you know, and that
rapist or whatever.
And that goes back to a raza thing. You know, there's other you know races that do the same thing. They implement some of the stuff, but for us, that's how it was. Being a Chicano, you know, it was you treat your kids right, you treat your woman right, and children in general and women in general.
Yeah,
you know.
No, it's true. That's the way it was.
We had a lot of rules, and our rules were more like if you were in the military.
Yeah,
that's why they're called veteranos.
Yeah, it was like if you were in the military, you know. I mean, I've been locked up here and there, and I remember even, you know, having the shot callers come around and check on your cell because if your bed wasn't made, if your cell wasn't clean, then you get checked on that, you know?
Yo, what's up, mi gente? If you guys liked our show today, check out our full show on Spotify. Look us up. It's called QueShowPodcast, brought to you by Pacho's Production. Have a good one. Have a great weekend.